In 1 week, 3 tech companies shifted the pricing of AI far enough that the cost structures many builders are using now are effectively broken. On July 9th, 2026, OpenAI, xAI, and Meta all shipped major flagship updates within the same 24-hour window. While the timing is unusual, the pricing data behind these releases reveals a deliberate, aggressive shift in how these labs are valuing inference. OpenAI's GPT-5.6 Luna hit a new low for the market, $1 per million input tokens. If you're building a product or running an automation today, the cost assumptions you used to greenlight your project 6 months ago are no longer valid. A 10-fold reduction in cost changes the math for developers. Tasks that were once too expensive to run at scale can now be performed for pennies. This visualization shows the new GPT-5.6 family. Sol, Terra, and Luna step down in price from $5 to just $1 per million input tokens. Even at the $1 tier, you are getting a full 1 million token context window. Combining that much data capacity with a rock-bottom price makes high-volume, long-running data processing instantly viable for even the smallest teams. But cheap AI can become an expensive trap if you build your product around the wrong architecture. The simplest reaction to this news is to hard-code your application directly into OpenAI's Luna or xAI's Grok 4.5 to maximize your margins. In the short term, it works. It makes mass automation features that were previously unprofitable suddenly start generating revenue. But relying on one provider's specific API creates ecosystem lock-in, embedding deep structural vulnerabilities into your software. If you are hardwired to a single provider and a competitor drops their price again next week, your application can't move. You're stuck paying yesterday's rates while your competition pivots. In a high-speed price war, lacking architectural flexibility will eventually inflate your operating costs relative to the rest of the market. Prioritizing deployment speed through a single provider means you are sacrificing the ability to arbitrage falling compute costs over time. To see where the market is moving, we have to look at Meta's Muse Spark 1.1, which focuses on multi-step autonomous computer use tasks. With this release, Meta shifted away from their standard open-weight strategy. Muse Spark 1.1 is a closed, paid model. This is because agentic AI, systems that take actions rather than just answering questions, works differently than standard chat. Agents require significantly more compute power at the inference layer because they are constantly observing and responding to their environment in a loop. This chart shows the reality. There is a sharp red spike in compute costs for agentic tasks. Free, open-weight models are difficult to scale when the model is doing continuous work instead of just chatting. To cover the cost of that compute, Meta is moving users into a paid ecosystem. This suggests that the future of scalable agentic AI will rely on centralized compute platforms where you trade total data control for raw power. The best way to protect your product from this volatility is to build an abstraction layer. This involves setting up a middleware router between your application and the various AI providers. The router dynamically intercepts requests. It sends simple queries to the cheapest $1 model available that week and routes complex tasks to heavier, more capable engines. This approach does require more development time upfront, and it can add a small amount of latency to each request. You also won't be able to easily use proprietary features that only exist within one provider's specific ecosystem. However, the abstraction layer makes you immune to the price war. It gives you the flexibility to swap providers the moment a better deal hits the market. We have moved from a market where the best model wins to one where the best fit wins. Intelligence is becoming a commodity. We can use an evaluation framework to determine the right move. For indie devs, this is a clear build signal. Unified APIs leverage new margins. But for enterprise startups, it's an adapt signal. Prepare for scaling costs when building heavy agentic infrastructure. In this environment, raw benchmark scores are secondary. Success is defined by your price, your speed, and your routing flexibility. If you are waiting for prices to drop to zero before you start building, you are making a strategic mistake. Large context windows are the current standard for frontier AI. Your data workflows need to adapt to this level of scale right now. The goal for 2026 is simple. Do not lock your architecture into one provider's cheapest tier for the long term. I've put together a one-page resource with the pricing and context window specs for every model I mentioned. The link is in the description. AI infrastructure is a commodity. The winners will be the developers who engineer for